In a recent Rumble Pack episode, Danno leaks some lore on his upcoming show, Toon Turf. Hi, my name's Extractor or King Boba Fett, and I make videos about stuff on YouTube. And today I'm talking about this Rumble Pack episode right here, where the gang invites Datchia on the show to try and squeeze some Toon Turf lore out of Danno. Eventually, Danno lets Datchia ask one question about Toon Turf that he has to answer. And around 31 minutes into the episode, they allow Datchia to kind of think out loud. And that's when she brings up the character, Rory.
What about Rory?
Danno goes on to say that Rory doesn't appear until like season 3 and that he's not actually that important. Around 35 minutes into the episode, Danno talked about how he showed various clips of Toon Turf to fans at VidCon, and he also showed 5 full minutes to Datchia. And I'm 99% sure that the 20 seconds that he leaked on Leia's stream is part of these 5 minutes. By the way, if you haven't seen this leaked Toon Turf video, I made a whole video about that, so you should go check it out. A little bit later, Danno talks about how it has to be out by 2026. And around 41 minutes in, they take a little detour from Toon Turf and talk about Shorts Wars. Johnny says that he's not going to be making a Shorts Wars season 4, but is thinking about making another similar event, perhaps another week-long ARG. Who knows, they aren't really sure. But anyways, finally getting back around to Toon Turf, around 45 minutes in, Danno says this.
What other things do you want to what are your biggest questions, about Toon Turf? Like the things that bug you the most? Besides the toilet doesn't really it doesn't
Yeah, but you keep mentioning it, and that's really...
If you didn't know, Danno says that the sideways toilet is important Riggy lore apparently, and that it kinda causes everything. Well, technically a pig and a toilet, but I guess it's not really that important. No one has any idea what it means. But then we finally get to hear the official question from Datchia.
Yeah, well, I just remembered. What's it? Why is Rory the only other Runky?
You have to answer it.
Danno starts to reveal a lot. Danno says that in season 1, Riggy is happy and that he wants to be a hero, but kind of for the wrong reasons. Riggy then sees some things and starts getting mentored by the wrong people, and he deteriorates as the show goes on. And by season 3, Riggy's mental health is not doing so hot, and that Rory in season 4 is the icing on the cake and damaging him. That Rory is a bad friend, a fake friend, and that Rory only appears after some big events. Danno then starts to talk about Lucky, and that Lucky's arc happens in the first 2 seasons, which perfectly lines up with my prediction. You should check that video out if you haven't already. Danno says that after season 2, Riggy moves on from Lucky, I guess you could say, and that Riggy is in a bad mental state, and that Rory appears and further breaks Riggy down. And he also says that the real world stuff will make more sense at the end of season 1, which is interesting because at the end of season 2, we're gonna see Riggy go into the real world and meet Danno. This is something we know for a fact. And Riggy says that portals will probably be explained in season 2. So the fact that he said this, that we're gonna be learning about it near the end of season 1, that's kind of interesting. Anyways, around 49 minutes in, he says this.
Things sort of just start to get more and more torn apart in the universe and stuff, and Riggy's brain as well. It's kind of anyway. So yeah, that's the purpose that he serves in the story.
You didn't answer the question.
Yep, Danno's been doing a lot of yapping. It's time for him to finally answer the question. Why is Rory the only other Runky? And before I get into that, really quickly, I want to say, holy moly, the subscribing has been crazy these past 2 weeks. It really does help motivate me to continue putting out content, so subscribing would mean a lot, but only if you want to. By the way, I also have a Discord. Anyways, Danno finally answers it and says this.
You know what, how about this? He's not the only other Runky in Toonville. How about that? Alright, how about that? Big reveal. There you go.
And he says that we'll understand what he means by that by the end of the first season. Interesting. Anyways, Datchia asks another question.
Alright, is the Absinthe ARG ever gonna make a crossover into Toon Turf?
And Danno says that the Absinthe ARG will cross into Toon Turf, but that it will take a while. And Danno says that he's still working on the Absinthe ARG. It is still going, and that he wants to make it more complex. And he also says that Absinthe will appear in Toon Turf, but we won't know that it's her for a while. This makes sense, as the Absinthe ARG canonically happens in season 3. So her character will probably appear in earlier seasons before she becomes the Absinthe we all know, or I guess barely know about. But enough about Toon Turf. 53 minutes in, Datchia asks a question about Shorts Wars.
Okay, was there any point where you changed the storyline?
The gang talk about how the Shorts Wars plot has changed around a lot, and that after the court case, it was originally planned for Clone Riggy to be the villain of a whole nother season afterwards. But then they got kind of tired of doing Shorts Wars. And at the end of the podcast episode, Bambayo says something very interesting. That in the Shorts Wars season 3 fight scene after the court case, that there's something that happens happened that not many people caught. This made me curious and go back to Short Road Season 3, where I literally watched the fight scene in 0.25x speed, and I couldn't really find anything. I don't know what he means by one loose end. Is it the fact that Royal Melon Guy hid away from the scene and he could still be alive out there? Is it the fact that Dunbun is still kind of alive? I don't really know. But yeah, that's all the lore I could find in this podcast episode. Make sure you subscribe for more content, and hey, maybe check out the video where I covered the Toon Turf clip that Danno leaked, exposing the hidden lore of the clip.